An NFL insider has just dropped a massive update for the Houston Texans this Sunday, and this should have Texans fans concerned because this has huge implications on where this season is headed. And we've said that a lot here on Texans Digest for the past few weeks, but it seems like every single week there was something new that is being brought to the team that just puts this team at a bit of a standstill. And we're going to get to what that piece of news is right here on Texans Digest. Hello, everybody. I'm your host, Donovan Ricondo, and we appreciate you joining us as always as we are on our road to get more subscribers and make this one of the best communities for Texans fans on YouTube. But we're going to break down the news just like this today, as Adam Schefter has reported just moments ago that Texans head coach DeMeco Ryans said that QB CJ Stroud will be out this week versus the Jaguars as he remains in concussion protocol. Texans QB Davis Mills will start on Sunday. And this is big for two major reasons. Of course, the first reason is CJ Stroud and his overall health. We would like for him to be playing in these games. Unfortunately, he did suffer a massive hit this past Sunday, putting him in concussion protocol, and we hope that he gets better. And we'll give you the details as to what he has to do in order to get back on this roster and be out there on the field. And the second reason why this is such a big deal is because of the divisional matchup we have against the Jacksonville Jaguars this Sunday. And that game itself is going to have huge implications. It can either split the meetings between Jacksonville Jaguars, as many of you remember, we lost to them earlier on this season, or you can go 0-2 against a division opponent, which would have a major effect on the standings as a tie, if there's any sort of tiebreaker or whatnot for the AFC South. So this game this Sunday, I don't want to call it a must-win, but it is a game you need to win if you are the Houston Texans, and this is just a setback to that goal, not having their starting QB and having Davis Mills start. Now, Davis Mills, he was the starter for the 2023 season. He was the guy. Obviously, things didn't go very great that season, but he does have experience under his belt. But that fourth quarter is, if that was any indication, that just does not make me excited that he is starting the game. Of course, if CJ Stroud was healthy, that would be the best thing. But this is a very important game this Sunday for AFC South standings for, the playoffs. The Texans' schedule does not get any easier. You still have to play the Chargers. You still have to play the Chiefs. You still have to play the Bills. And you still have to play the Colts twice, who are having a phenomenal season so far. And so you have all 5 of those big-time games still lined up. And so this is a game that is a team that you can beat. You were so close to beating them earlier on this season before they fumbled it late in the game, both figuratively and literally. So hopefully things can pan out for them this Sunday. Now, as it was reported earlier today, CJ Stroud was not practicing because of this concussion. Only Davis Mills and Graham Mertz were practicing earlier today as CJ Stroud remains in concussion protocol. Now, DeMeco Ryans had this to say about Davis Mills starting this Sunday. Quote, "Just expect him to go out and do his best," Ryan said. "Play the offense the proper way, make great decisions with the football." And that's what's going to have to happen if you're Davis Mills, if you're this Texans offense. Everything kind of has to be perfect this Sunday. There's not a lot of room to be, throwing interceptions or giving up stacks or, not making the plays. This offense has already taken a huge hit without having CJ Stroud, who is absolutely balling the past couple of weeks. And so to not have him on the field and to have Davis Mills, the backup, albeit, a veteran, has some experience under his belt, but at the same time, not where the Texans want to be. This Texans offense has to be ready to go from the start. They can't be settling for field goal after field goal. As much as Kaimi Fairbairn is one of the best kickers in the league, and shout out to him. He did a great job this past Sunday of getting those field goals and getting us those points when we could not score in the red zone, when we could not score on our side of the field. Our offense has to fix that immediately. We keep saying that over and over again, but that has to change. Even if you want to make the playoffs or even contend in the playoffs, because there's no point of being good enough just to be bounced out in the first round. This team has to take that step. Now, whether they will make that step, I have no idea. From the looks of it, Seems like not, right? With CJ Stroud out and this offense kind of, having great days and having terrible days, mainly terrible days. They are 3-5. They face Jacksonville this Sunday, who are 5-3. And such a big game in the division. If we would have won last week, we would have won against the Jacksonville Jaguars, we would have been tied. We would have had a much closer, or not as much separation between these two teams, both splitting games against each other. And that would have been a perfect spot for the Texans to be in. But again, you gave up your lead in the fourth quarter to a very good Denver Broncos team, which you should have beat at home. That was your game to win. And the fact that they screwed it is quite mind-boggling and also not great if you are a Texans fan. Now, the reigning back-to-back champs, the Texans, are currently third, with trailing the Indianapolis Colts and the Jaguars. Again, the Indianapolis Colts sit at 7-2. And I think it's safe to say that the Colts are probably going to win this division this season. Very surprising. The Texans were one of the favorites to win it, or was the favorite to win the division. Colts kind of just came in out of nowhere with Daniel Jones at quarterback and Pittman at wide receiver and all the guys that got on that squad. But it looks like that is going to be the leader of this pack. So it's Jacksonville and Houston kind of fighting for, that wild card spot. And possibly two teams in the AFC South can make it. It's very, very possible that Houston is still in the hunt according to ESPN and all of their graphics. But the Texans are 24th in scoring offense at 21 points per game. That is horrible. That is not good. Even with CJ Stroud, Nick Haley has not put together an offense that can get going consistently against these other teams, against the good teams, against the bad teams. I think the only really team that we balled out against was Baltimore, and they were absolutely, injury prone. Nobody was playing on their defense. They had a bunch of high schoolers on their defensive line, middle schoolers in their secondary, and so that was a terrible defense, what they did do very well in. Can they fix that? I don't know. We shall see. Stroud's QBR 64.8 was 12th in the league, which is the highest it's been with the Texans. So I will give him that. He has shown signs of getting better. If he had a better line, if he had better play calling, whatever you think the problem is, if he had that better, Stroud would be having better numbers than he has so far. He's thrown for 11 touchdowns and 1,702 yards on the season so far. Now, in order for CJ Stroud to clear NFL protocol, the concussion protocol, he's got to do these things. He has to have no concussion symptoms, which normally include a gamut of sensitivity to light, headaches, blurred vision, loss of memory, and other cognitive issues. Stroud would also need to practice twice and have no recurrence of symptoms and be cleared under a mandatory baseline neurological exam and by an independent doctor before returning to play. I think the key thing there is having to practice twice. It's not, you can't just be healthy the day of the game or the Friday before the game. You need to have 2 practices under your belt to clear concussion protocol. So whether or not that means that CJ Stroud will be available for next week, or there's no really timetable so far on the injury. He is getting better. That is a good sign. He's getting better as he is progressing through concussion protocol, but it's a little unclear on how long CJ Stroud is going to be out. The hope is that he is available next week, but everything is subject to change as of right now. We want CJ Stroud to be healthy. We don't want to risk the chance of another concussion or what have you, right? We want to make sure that the medical experts have the things in line to make sure that they can clear CJ Stroud and that he is not rushed back to the field. Now, it would be nice to have him next week, but the medical process will play out as it should. Now, I mentioned the schedule earlier. The schedule does not get any easier for the Houston Texans, besides maybe after the Jaguars game this week. We do play the Titans, and knowing the Titans, they kind of gave us a little bit of a contest this time. Don't want to say anything about the Titans, but we have the Titans after this week. But after that, you have a absolute triple threat with the Bills, the Colts, and the Chiefs. And so those are going to be some big games that the Texans, we're going to see what happens with them. It's not, as of right now, with CJ Stroud out and this offense kind of lacking some sort of chemistry or lacking some ability to score the football more consistently via touchdowns. Those games right now on November 20th, 30th, 7th of December are not looking great for the Texans. But there's still a lot of time until then, right? The bad part is that 2 of those games are on the worst part. 2 of those games are on the road. We're going to Indianapolis on November 30th and going to Kansas City on December 7th. And after that, you have the Cardinals, who kind of been up and down this year, not too hot. And then you have the Raiders. Those are two winnable games if you're the Texans. Hopefully get right games after the dogfight of the Bills, Colts, and Chiefs back to back to back. You have the Chargers, who are looking very good this year. What would be a playoff rematch from last year. They're absolutely looking out for revenge, and that's going to be in their home field. And we end the season with the Colts in Houston, hopefully playing for a playoff opportunity on January 4th. And so this schedule is a pretty difficult schedule, if you ask me. Three of the best teams in the NFL. I know the Chiefs are kind of struggling right now. They're 5-4, but they are still the Chiefs. They still have Patrick Mahomes. They still have Travis Kelce. They still have Andy Reid. They still have Xavier Worthy. They have all these guys, and they're going to ball out, especially at their home field. And so this is the schedule for the Texans. So if something has to change, and I keep saying it, we keep saying it every single week. It has to be now. It has to be now. It has to be now. It's a matter, it's right now or never for the Houston Texans in terms of getting right. They had a great opportunity this past week to get right, to get to 500. That's what DeMeco Ryans wanted. He wanted this team to be at 500 and get a win over a very good Broncos team. Broncos, they are going to make the playoffs this season. They are that good. They are a very, very good team with Bo Nix at the helm at quarterback. And so you had a chance. Unfortunately, it didn't pan out, but there's only two ways to go about it. You can either go and play the Jacksonville Jaguars and fight and kind of score and bring everything you have despite not having your quarterback, or it could all go downhill and go downhill very, very, very fast. But it's up to the Texans, and it's up to the fans, and it's up to everybody to cheer them on, for everyone to do their part. Do their part. Defense, offense. Davis Mills this Sunday, he has a big task. He is up for the task. We will see how it all pans out for them at home in Houston. It's going to be a ruckus NRG Stadium. Hopefully, everything goes well. With that wraps it up this video for Texans Digest. If you've made it to the end of the video, hit that subscribe button. We'd love to have you join our community for Texans fans. I'm Donovan Ricondo. We'll see you on the next one.